First Contact and Crisis. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Pathfinder, staring at the expanse of stars through the main view screen. The ship, Earth's most advanced deep space reconnaissance vessel, patrolled the outer reaches of human territory. After 15 years of service, Reyes thought she had seen everything the cosmos had to offer. She was wrong. "Captain, I'm picking up a distress signal," announced Lieutenant Kira Chen, her communications officer. "It's coming from Proxima Station, beyond our usual patrol route." Reyes frowned. Proxima Station was Earth's furthest outpost, established in partnership with the Ellen, a peaceful spacefaring species who had welcomed humans to the galactic community. "Put it through, Lieutenant." Static filled the bridge, then broken words came through. "Under attack. Unknown vessels. Weapons unlike anything. Please, anyone." The transmission cut to video. The bridge crew fell silent. Proxima Station was in ruins. Strange ships with crystalline structures fired weapons that cut through the station's reinforced walls like paper. Ellen and humans alike fled as their home collapsed around them. A single human officer appeared on screen, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. "This is Commander Jackson of Proxima Station. We are under attack by an unknown force. Their technology is beyond anything we've encountered. They arrived without warning and beacon. An explosion rocked the transmission. If anyone receives this, warn Earth. They call themselves the Harbingers. They're methodical, they're ruthless, and they're coming for everyone. Earth must prepare." The transmission ended with a final message. "They disabled our communications first. No warning, no demands, just extinction." Reyes Executive Officer, Commander Tariq Nasser, turned to her. "Captain, our orders are to maintain patrol and report unusual activity." Reyes had seen conflict before. She knew what happened when people followed protocol while others died. "How long to reach Proxima Station?" "At maximum speed, 11 hours, replied the navigator. Reyes made her decision. "Prepare for jump. We're going to investigate." "Captain," Nasser objected, "that's well beyond our jurisdiction." Reyes looked at him. "I've seen attacks like this before. No demands, no warnings, just destruction. If these Harbingers are moving toward Earth, we need to know what we're facing." She turned to Chen. "Send the full transmission to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. Encrypt it with my command codes." "Yes, Captain," Chen replied, fingers moving quickly across her console. Reyes addressed the entire bridge. "I know what our orders are, but sometimes doing the right thing means breaking the rules. If anyone objects, speak now." The bridge remained silent. "Good. Navigator, plot the fastest course to Proxima Station. Weapons, bring all systems online. Medical, prepare for possible survivors." As the Pathfinder changed course, Reyes watched the stars shift on the view screen. She hadn't felt this sense of dread since the Martian conflict a decade ago. Something terrible awaited them at Proxima Station, and Reyes feared this was just the beginning. At Earth Defense Command, Admiral William Chen was reviewing fleet deployment reports when his screen flashed red. Priority Alpha messages were rare. He had seen only 2 in his 20-year career. "Computer, display message," he ordered. The same footage that Reyes had witnessed played on his screen. Chen watched, expressionless, but his hand tightened around his coffee mug until his knuckles turned white. When the message ended, he pressed a button on his desk. "This is Admiral Chen. Assemble the Defense Council immediately. Authorization Omega-3. The computer responded. "Defense Council emergency meeting authorized. All members being notified." Chen stared at the frozen image of the attacking ships. He had seen reports of vessels like these from alien allies, ships belonging to a species spoken of only in fearful whispers. The Harbingers, the heralds of extinction. Chen stood up and straightened his uniform. If the reports were true, Earth was about to face its greatest threat, and they were not ready, not by a long shot. The Defense Council chamber was silent after the footage ended. 8 men and women sat around a large oval table, faces pale under the harsh lights. Admiral Chen stood at the head, waiting. General Diana Rodriguez, commander of Earth's ground forces, spoke first. "This could be an isolated incident. We shouldn't overreact." Chen shook his head. "The ships match descriptions of the harbingers that other species have warned us about for years." "Alien ghost stories," scoffed Defense Minister Puddle. "We've never seen actual proof they exist." Chen tapped his screen, bringing up new images. "These are records shared by the Ellen last year. Reports of entire planets going dark, colonies vanishing, all with the same ship signatures." Dr. Marcus Webb, the Council's xenology expert, leaned forward. "The harbingers aren't myths. They're predators. They target spacefaring species, harvest their technology, and move on. They don't negotiate. They don't show mercy. If these are truly the harbingers, Proxima Station is just their first step. They study their prey before launching a full attack." "What force do they have?" asked Rodriguez. "Based on Ellen intelligence, hundreds of ships. Maybe thousands," Chen replied. The room fell silent again. Earth's entire fleet numbered just over 60 vessels. "We've been at peace for nearly a decade," Paddle said. "Our military is defensive only." Chen placed both hands on the table and leaned forward. "Then we change that. Now, before it's too late." "What are you suggesting?" Patil asked. "Invoke the Phoenix Protocol." Several council members gasped. The Phoenix Protocol had been created after the Martian conflict but never implemented. It authorized full military mobilization, conversion of civilian industries to military production, and activation of all reserve personnel. "That's extreme," Paddle argued. "The economic impact alone won't matter if we're all dead," Chen cut in. "The harbingers don't stop once they target a species. They hunt it to extinction." "We need more information before such a drastic step," Rodriguez said. Chen's voice hardened. "Captain Rice and the Pathfinder will get us that information, but we need to prepare now. Every day counts." The council debated for another hour. Chen showed more evidence, played testimonies from alien allies about harbinger attacks, and laid out a mobilization plan that had been gathering dust for 10 years. Finally, United Earth President Lucia Alvarez, who had been silent during the debate, stood up. "Put it to a vote," she ordered. "Phoenix Protocol, yes or no?" The vote was 5-3 in favor. President Alvarez nodded grimly. "Admiral Chen, you have your authorization. God help us all." Within hours, the message went out worldwide. On screens in homes, offices, and public spaces across Earth and its colonies, President Alvarez addressed humanity. "Citizens of Earth and her colonies, I speak to you today with grave news. An alien force known as the Harbingers has attacked our outpost at Proxima and appears to be moving toward our territory. These beings represent a threat unlike any we have faced before." She paused, letting her words sink in, effective immediately. "I am invoking the Phoenix Protocol. All military reserves are activated. Key industries will be converted to defense production. A planet-wide resource allocation system begins tonight. In homes across Earth, families gathered around screens, holding each other. We face a difficult road ahead," President Alvarez continued, "but humanity has overcome great challenges before. We will not go quietly. We will not surrender our home." As the speech ended, the Earth Defense Force emblem appeared with words beneath it. "This is not a drill." In orbit above Earth, Admiral Chen watched as dormant defense platforms came online. Retired military ships were being pulled from storage facilities. Weapons that had been sealed away after the Martian conflict were being inspected and readied. It won't be enough, he thought. Not against the Harbingers. His screen beeped with an incoming message. It was from the Pathfinder. Captain Rice's face appeared, grim and tired. Behind her, Chen could see flashing red emergency lights. "Admiral," Rice said, "we reached Proxima Station. It's gone. completely destroyed. But we found something you need to see. Chen leaned closer to the screen. What is it, Captain? A survivor, Rides replied. And information about the Harbingers that changes everything we thought we knew about them. Earth changed overnight. Factories that once made civilian shuttles now built fighter ships. Universities closed as students and professors joined the military or defense research. In every city, recruitment centers had lines stretching for blocks. Dr. Maya Sharma walked into the Chicago Research Complex, clutching her ID card. Yesterday, she had been designing agricultural terraforming equipment. Today, her badge read Weapons Development. Dr. Sharma, a military officer, greeted her. I'm Colonel James Wilson. Follow me. He led her to a large laboratory filled with engineers and scientists, all looking as confused as she felt. Listen up, Wilson said. You all worked on terraforming technology. Now you're going to turn those tools into weapons. The Harbinger ships have energy shielding, but we think your particle manipulation tech might penetrate it. Maya raised her hand. I make tools that transform atmospheres, not destroy alien ships. Wilson's face hardened. Then make them destroy ships, Doctor. Because if you don't, there won't be any atmospheres left to transform. Across the planet, similar scenes played out. In Houston, Major David Torres faced 300 civilians in a hangar. Most had never held a weapon before. You have 4 weeks of training, Torres told them. The normal timeline is 6 months. We don't have 6 months. A young woman raised her hand. Sir, why us? Why not just use automated defense systems? The Harbingers jam AI control signals, Torres explained. We need human pilots, human soldiers, people who can think and adapt when technology fails. He looked across the nervous faces. I won't lie to you. This will be the hardest thing you've ever done. But everything depends on it. In Washington, Dr. Emir Khalid stared at the alien data crystal on his table. The Ellen survivor had died shortly after the Pathfinder brought him to Earth, but not before sharing crucial information. The Harbingers attack without warning, Khalid told Admiral Chen as he entered the lab. They jam all signals, destroy defenses first, then hit ground targets. Chen studied the crystal. Did the survivor say anything else? Khalid nodded. He said they take samples, plants, animals, technology. The Ellen believed they study their targets before the main attack. But there's more. He activated the crystal, projecting a holographic display of Harbinger ship schematics. The Harbingers aren't a natural species. They're artificial, created by an ancient race as weapons. And like all weapons, they have a critical weakness. At the edge of the solar system, 3 Earth ships patrolled. They were old vessels brought back into service and hastily upgraded. Commander Sarah Diaz of the UES Guardian checked her scanners. Anything, Lieutenant? Nothing yet, Commander, her officer replied. Then she stiffened. Wait. Contact. Unknown signature at Sector 115. Diaz looked at her screen. A single ship had appeared, its crystalline structure matching the Harbinger vessels from the Proxima footage. Battle stations, Diaz ordered. Alert the other ships. Tell them. A beam of white energy cut through space, slicing through the ship next to them. The UES Sentinel exploded silently in the void. Evasive maneuvers. All weapons fire, Diaz shouted. The 2 remaining Earth ships fired everything they had. Most shots dissipated against the Harbinger shields, but a few seemed to penetrate. The Harbinger fired again. The UES Defender shuddered and went dark, drifting in space. Diaz knew they were outmatched. Send emergency signal to Earth. We've engaged the enemy. Her communications officer worked frantically. Message sent. The Harbinger ship fired once more. The Guardian shook violently. Alarms blared as systems failed across the ship. All power to engines, Diaz ordered. Ram them. The Guardian surged forward, engines burning beyond safety limits. The Harbinger ship tried to move aside, but too late. The Earth ship crashed into the alien vessel, both ships exploding in a blinding flash. At Earth Command, Admiral Chen received the message from the patrol ships. Then nothing but silence. "Admiral," an officer reported, "all 3 patrol ships are gone, but sensors show the Harbinger ship was destroyed too." Chen nodded grimly. "So they can be hurt. They're not invincible." He turned to his staff. "This was just a scout. Send the word. First blood is ours, but the real fight is coming." Across Earth, the news spread. Humanity had its first victory against the Harbingers. It would need many more. Dr. Maya Sharma stood in her secured lab, staring at the piece of Harbinger technology recovered from the destroyed scout ship. It was part of their shield generator, the only significant piece salvaged from the wreckage. "It's like nothing I've ever seen," she told Admiral Chen. "The materials, the design. It's at least a century ahead of our tech." Chen frowned. "Can we counteract it?" "Maybe," Maya replied. "I found something strange." She pressed a button on her device, sending a pulse of electromagnetic energy toward the alien tech. The piece flickered and went dark. "What happened?" Chen asked. "Electromagnetic disruption," Maya explained. "Their shields are advanced, but they're vulnerable to specific EM frequencies. With enough power, we might be able to create a weapon that temporarily disables their defenses." Chen's eyes widened. "How soon can you have a prototype?" Maya looked at the calculations on her screen. 2 weeks, maybe less." Chen nodded. "You have 1 week, Doctor. The Harbinger fleet has been detected crossing the Kuiper Belt. They'll reach Earth in 10 days. The battle for survival. Earth's orbit had become a fortress. Defense platforms, hastily retrofitted with electromagnetic pulse weapons, formed a protective ring around the planet. Behind them, 67 warships. Every vessel Earth could muster waited in formation. On the ground, aerospace fighters stood ready on every continent, their pilots on constant alert. Admiral William Chen stood in Earth Defense Command's control center, studying the holographic display of Earth's defenses. The plan was simple but desperate. Use the EM weapons to temporarily disable the Harbinger's shields, then hit them with everything they had before the shields reactivated. "Admiral," his aide said, "Captain Reyes has arrived." Alina Reyes entered the command center, looking tired but determined. In the week since the Pathfinder's return, she had been working non-stop with Dr. Khalid to analyze the LN data on Harbinger tactics. "Captain," Chen greeted her, "what's the latest?" "We've completed the analysis of their attack patterns," Reyes replied. "The Harbingers always follow the same sequence. They target communication arrays first, then defensive platforms, then military vessels. They're predictable, almost programmed." "Machines following instructions," Chen mused. "Can we use that against them?" Reyes nodded. "I believe so. Dr. Sharma's EM weapons will be crucial, but timing is everything. We need to hit all their ships simultaneously, or they'll adapt." "A coordinated strike across all platforms," Chen said. "Risky, but it might work." He turned to the tactical display. "The Harbinger fleet will arrive in 12 hours. We'll brief all commanders on the final strategy in 1 hour." As Reyes left to prepare, she thought about how much had changed in just 1 week. Humanity had united as never before. Ancient rivalries were set aside, all resources pooled toward a single goal: survival. She hoped it would be enough. In her lab, Dr. Maya Sharma made final adjustments to the EM disruptor. The prototype had been successfully tested against the recovered Harbinger shield fragment, but scaling it up to affect an entire fleet required power levels that pushed Earth's technology to its limits. "Dr. Sharma," called a voice. She looked up to see Colonel Wilson. "The installation is complete," he reported. "All defense platforms and capital ships have been equipped with the disruptors." Maya nodded, not looking up from her work. "Have they been properly synchronized?" "The frequency has to be exact, or they won't penetrate the shields." "All systems are calibrated according to your specifications," Wilson assured her. The only question now is whether they'll have enough power to affect the entire fleet. Maya finally looked up, her eyes tired but confident. They will. I've incorporated elements of the Harbinger's own technology into the design. We're using their power against them. Wilson allowed himself a small smile. You've done remarkable work, Doctor. A week ago, you were terraforming planets. Now you might save one. Maya returned to her calculations. Let's hope so, because we won't get a second chance. At the edge of the solar system, the Harbinger fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel, 143 crystalline vessels of varying sizes, led by a massive flagship twice the size of Earth's largest warship. They moved in perfect formation, like a single organism with many parts. On the UES Defiant, Captain Rice watched the long-range sensor feed with growing dread. The Harbinger fleet was larger than intelligence had suggested. "Message from Admiral Chen, Captain," announced her communications officer. Chen's face appeared on screen, grim but resolved. "Captain Rice, we've detected the Harbinger fleet. They'll reach our defensive line in 6 hours. All ships are to maintain communication silence until the attack begins. Good luck." Rice acknowledged the message, then turned to her crew. "Battle stations. Check all systems. I want the EM disruptors at full power and ready on my command." As her crew rushed to comply, Rice studied the tactical display. The Defiant was positioned in the second defensive line, just behind the main fleet. Their role was crucial. If the first line failed to stop the Harbingers, the Defiant and 5 other ships would create a corridor of disruption, forcing the enemy into a narrow channel where Earth's remaining defenses could concentrate their fire. "Captain," said Commander Nasser, approaching her chair. "The crew is ready. All systems operational." Rice nodded. "Good. Now we wait." The hours passed with excruciating slowness. The Harbinger fleet moved steadily toward Earth, maintaining their perfect formation, making no attempt to hide their approach. They knew they had superior firepower. They were confident in their victory. Finally, the enemy fleet reached the outer defense perimeter. Admiral Chen's voice came through the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Execute Operation Thunderstrike on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." Across Earth's orbital defenses, EM disruptors activated simultaneously. A wave of electromagnetic energy, calibrated to the exact frequency of the Harbinger shields, surged outward. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like stars going out, the Harbinger ship's crystalline structures dimmed. "Their shields are down," shouted Nasser. It worked. "All weapons, fire," ordered Chen over the fleet channel. Earth's defenses erupted. Railguns, missile batteries, energy weapons, everything humanity had was directed at the Harbinger fleet. The first volley struck true, catching the aliens completely by surprise. 7 Harbinger vessels exploded immediately, their unshielded hulls no match for the concentrated firepower. But the victory was short-lived. The Harbingers adapted with frightening speed. Their ships began to emit a counter-frequency, neutralizing the EM disruption effect. Within minutes, their shields were reactivating. "Admiral," Rice warned, "they're adapting to the disruptors." "I see it," Chen replied. "Execute Phase 2. The Earth fleet broke formation, dividing into smaller attack groups that harried the larger Harbinger vessels from multiple angles. It was a desperate tactic, sacrificing coordinated defense for unpredictable offense. But it worked, at least temporarily. The Harbinger's programmed attack patterns struggled to adapt to the chaotic human strategy. But the aliens' technological superiority began to tell. One by one, Earth's ships were disabled or destroyed. The defense platforms, their EM disruptors rendered useless, were systematically eliminated. Within an hour, half of humanity's defenses were gone. On the Defiant, Rice watched as the battle turned against them. "We need something else," she muttered. "There has to be another way." Then she remembered something from Dr. Khalid's analysis of the Ellen data. The Harbingers were artificial, created as weapons, and they operated as a unified system. "Nasser," she called. "The Harbinger flagship. Does it show any difference in energy signatures compared to the other ships?" Nasser checked the sensor readings. "Yes, Captain. It's emitting a continuous signal on a frequency we haven't seen before. It's transmitting to all other Harbinger vessels." Reyes's heart raced. It's a command ship. The flagship isn't just leading them. It's controlling them. She opened a channel to Admiral Chen. "Admiral, the Harbinger flagship is coordinating the entire fleet. If we can disable it, we might disrupt their entire attack pattern." "How do you propose we do that, Captain?" Chen asked. "Our weapons can barely scratch their largest ships now that they've adapted to the disruptors." Reyes looked at the tactical display. "An idea forming. Not from the outside, sir. But what about from the inside?" There was a pause. "Explain." The Ellen data showed that the Harbingers use standardized docking protocols for their support craft. The Pathfinder shuttle was modified with Ellen technology when we rescued their survivor. It might be compatible with their docking systems. "You're suggesting a boarding action?" Chen sounded incredulous. "Yes, sir. A small team, using the modified shuttle. We get inside the flagship and plant Dr. Sharma's EM disruptor directly into their command systems, from inside their shields." Another pause, longer this time. "That's a suicide mission, Captain." "Maybe," Reyes admitted, "but it's the only plan we have that might work." A full minute passed before Chen responded. "Very well, Captain. Assemble your team. The rest of the fleet will create a diversion to get you close enough." Reyes turned to Nasser. "Commander, I need volunteers. 5 of our best. Meet me in the shuttle bay in 15 minutes. As Nasser left to gather the team, Reyes contacted Dr. Sharma. "Doctor, I need one of your EM disruptors modified for direct integration with alien tech. Can you do it?" Maya's tired face showed surprise, then understanding. "You're taking it directly to them?" "Yes, I can modify one, but you'll need to activate it manually once it's connected to their systems." "How long will we have after activation?" 30 seconds, maybe less, before it overloads." Reyes nodded grimly. "That will have to be enough." 30 minutes later, Reyes and her team of 5 volunteers were aboard the modified shuttle. Dr. Sharma had delivered the modified disruptor, a compact device that pulsed with energy. "Remember," Reyes told her team, "our objective is their command center. Plant the device, activate it, and get out if possible. But the mission comes first." The team nodded, their faces showing a mixture of fear and determination. Reyes opened a channel to Chen. "Admiral, we're ready." "Understood, Captain. The diversion begins in 3 minutes. All remaining ships will concentrate fire on the Harbinger fleet's left flank. That should draw attention away from your approach vector." "Good luck, Admiral." "Good luck to you, Captain. Earth is counting on you." Reyes closed the channel and turned to her pilot. "Take us out, Lieutenant." "Stealth mode until we're close enough, then full speed to the flagship's secondary docking port." The shuttle detached from the Defiant and moved silently away, its engines barely registering on sensors. Around them, the battle continued to rage. Earth's remaining ships gathered for a desperate assault on the Harbinger fleet's flank. "Diversion beginning," reported the pilot. "All Harbinger ships are responding." Reyes watched as the enemy vessels turned to face the new threat, their formation shifting to counter the human attack. All except the flagship, which remained stationary at the center of the fleet. "Now, Lieutenant, full speed." The shuttle's engines ignited, propelling them toward the massive Harbinger flagship. They were halfway there when a Harbinger patrol craft spotted them. "Incoming fire," shouted the pilot, throwing the shuttle into evasive maneuvers. Energy beams lanced past them, missing by meters. "Return fire," ordered Reyes. "Keep them off us until we reach the flagship." The shuttle's weapons, enhanced with technology from the destroyed Harbinger scout, fired back, disabling the patrol craft. But the damage was done. The flagship was now aware of their approach. "They're activating point defenses," warned the tactical officer. "We have multiple weapons locking onto us." "Evasive pattern Delta," Rice commanded, and broadcast the LN docking codes. The shuttle zigzagged through space as the massive flagship's weapons tried to track them. The docking codes, extracted from the LN data crystal, transmitted continuously. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed the codes wouldn't work. Then, the flagship's point defenses suddenly stopped tracking them. "It worked," breathed the pilot. "They think we're a returning Harbinger craft." "Get us to that docking port before they realize their mistake," Rice said. The shuttle approached the secondary docking port, a crystalline aperture that pulsed with energy. As they neared, the port opened, creating a path directly into the flagship. "We're in," announced the pilot as the shuttle passed through the energy field and landed in a vast, glowing chamber. Rice checked her weapon, a standard-issue pulse rifle modified with the same frequency as Dr. Sharma's disruptor. "Remember, we have one objective. Find the command center, plant the device, and activate it. Move out." The team exited the shuttle into an alien environment unlike anything they had seen before. The interior of the Harbinger flagship was a maze of crystalline corridors, pulsing with the same energy that powered their weapons. "According to the LN data, the command center should be 3 levels up," said Reyes, consulting her holographic map. "Let's move." They encountered no resistance at first. The Harbingers, confident in their technology, had few internal defenses. But as they approached the central core of the ship, they heard something. A rhythmic, mechanical sound. "Take cover," whispered Reyes. The team ducked into a side corridor as a patrol of Harbingers passed by. For the first time, humans saw their enemy up close. Not biological entities, but advanced robotic constructs, their forms vaguely humanoid but composed of the same crystalline material as their ships. "They really are machines," muttered one of the team members. "Keep moving," Reyes ordered after the patrol passed. "We don't have much time." They reached a massive door that, according to their map, led to the command center. It was sealed, with no obvious way to open it. "Plant charges," Reyes ordered. "We'll breach it." As her team set explosive charges on the door, Reyes checked the battle status through her tactical display. Outside, Earth's forces were being decimated. The diversion had worked too well, drawing the full fury of the Harbinger fleet. "Charges set," reported her demolitions expert. "Ready to detonate on your command." "Everyone back," Reyes ordered. "Detonate." The charges exploded, shattering the crystalline door. Before the dust settled, Reyes and her team rushed through into the command center, a vast, dome-shaped chamber dominated by a pulsing crystal at its center. "That's it," Reyes realized. The control node, but they weren't alone. A dozen Harbinger constructs turned toward them, weapons activating. "Cover me," Reyes shouted, running toward the control node as her team opened fire. The disruption-modified weapons worked, temporarily disabling the Harbinger constructs. But more were converging on their position. Reyes reached the control node and placed Dr. Sharma's device against its surface. The disruptor immediately bonded with the alien technology, its lights sensing with the pulse of the node. "Device planted," she called. "Activating now." She pressed the activation sequence. The disruptor hummed to life, its energy merging with the node. A countdown appeared. 30 seconds. "Fall back to the shuttle," Reyes ordered. "Move." The team fought their way back through the corridors, pursued by Harbinger constructs. 2 of her team fell, their sacrifices buying time for the others. They reached the shuttle with 10 seconds to spare. "Get us out of here," Reyes shouted as they boarded. The shuttle's engines roared to life, propelling them away from the flagship just as the disruptor reached zero. The effect was instantaneous and spectacular. The EM pulse, amplified by the flagship's own power systems, surged through the command node. The flagship went dark, its crystalline structure dimming. Then, like a wave spreading outward, every Harbinger ship in the fleet began to power down. On the Defiant, Commander Nasser watched in awe. Their entire fleet. They're shutting down. Admiral Chen's voice came over the comm. All ships, all platforms, fire everything you have at the disabled vessels. Don't give them time to recover. Earth's remaining defenses unleashed a final desperate barrage. Without shields, without coordination, the Harbinger fleet was vulnerable. Ship after ship exploded as humanity's weapons found their mark. The shuttle, barely functional after its desperate escape, limped back toward the Defiant. Inside, Captain Reyes and her 3 surviving team members watched as the Harbinger fleet was systematically destroyed. "We did it," whispered one of her officers. "We actually did it." Reyes nodded, too exhausted for words. Humanity had faced extinction and survived, not through superior technology or firepower, but through the qualities that defined them: adaptability, determination, and the willingness to sacrifice for others. 2 days later, Captain Reyes stood in the Earth Defense Command Center, her arm in a sling from injuries sustained during the mission. Around her, officers worked to track down and eliminate the few Harbinger vessels that had escaped destruction. Admiral Chen approached, looking as tired as she felt. "The President wants to give you the Nova Cross," he said. "Highest honor we have." Reyes shook her head. "Give it to my team, especially those who didn't make it back. They're the real heroes." Chen nodded in understanding. "The LN representatives arrived an hour ago. They want to meet you." "Me? Why?" "Because you did what no species has ever done before. You defeated the Harbingers. They're calling it a miracle." Reyes looked at the tactical display, showing the debris field where the Harbinger fleet had been. Not a miracle, just humanity doing what it does best, refusing to give up. As they walked to meet the LN delegation, Chen said quietly, "They're proposing an alliance, not just with us, but with all spacefaring species, a united front against any future threats. With humanity leading the way." Chen smiled. "They seem to think we've earned it." Captain Alina Reyes, who had broken the rules to save her species, who had led a suicide mission into the heart of an enemy flagship, felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. Humanity had not only survived, they had changed the galaxy forever. "Then I guess we'd better not disappoint them," she said. Around Earth, reconstruction had already begun. The planet had suffered, ships had been lost, lives had been sacrificed, but humanity endured. And in the stars above, a new era was dawning, one where humanity stood not alone, but as part of something greater. The distress call that had started it all had done more than unleash Earth's military might. It had unleashed humanity's greatest potential. And the galaxy would never be the same.